The couple have been begging for privacy, and South Park has done a parody of this, and apparently it has really upset Meghan Markle.
I want to play you the first of these South Park clips and get you to react.
Listen to this. Meghan Markle to join the 11th season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Ugh, so thirsty for any kind of attention. I would die before I would be on her reality show.
Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
Meghan, I'm begging you to stop now.
We want our privacy and safety, but we'll go be at Beyonce concerts and do whatever we want. Oh, look at him.
Want respect? Try shutting up.
What mother or father in the name of sweet Jesus has enough time to create a fruit plate at 6 o'clock on a Monday morning when there's toast throwing around the room? I nearly entered rehab yesterday. That is the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen on television in my life.
No, I don't want to cook again, Meghan. My God, take a break.
These two are now an international embarrassment.
Picture this, December 4th, 2024, the glittering Beverly Wilshire Hotel. Meghan Markle, draped in a stunning black strapless gown, glides across the red carpet. She's there to honor Tyler Perry, the man who gave her family shelter when the world turned against them. The cameras flash, the smiles are perfect. Tyler calls their friendship pure and beautiful. But behind those practiced smiles lies a secret so explosive that even Hollywood's most powerful mogul might not be able to keep it buried forever. Because while Meghan was posing for pictures in Beverly Hills, something else was happening 3,000 miles away. Prince Harry was in New York, nervously laughing off divorce rumors for what he claimed was the 10th or 12th time. And somewhere in between those two coasts, a devastating report was being prepared. A report that would expose what Tyler Perry has known all along. The fairy tale is crumbling, and the man who witnessed it from the inside might be the only one who can tell us how it really fell apart. But before we dive into that bombshell, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's most controversial couple. The story begins with a friendship that seemed unbreakable. Tyler Perry wasn't just another celebrity friend, he was their savior, their protector, their refuge in the storm. When Harry and Meghan fled Britain in 2020, it was Tyler who opened his $18 million Beverly Hills mansion to them. No questions asked. No strings attached, just pure kindness, or so it seemed. He became godfather to their daughter Lilibet. He provided security when they claimed the palace abandoned them. He even gifted them a grand piano with a note that read, "Write the soundtrack for your life." It was the kind of gesture that made headlines and warmed hearts, but here's what the headlines didn't tell you. Tyler Perry wasn't just giving them a house, he was getting a front row seat to the unraveling of a marriage that would soon become Hollywood's biggest facade. Think about it, Tyler was there during those crucial months in 2020. He witnessed the late night phone calls, the tears, the arguments, the desperate attempts to control the narrative. He saw Harry, the prince who gave up everything, slowly realizing what that everything actually meant. And he watched Meghan, the actress who thought she'd won the ultimate role, discovering that some scripts can't be rewritten. One source who worked with the couple told Vanity Fair something chilling. "I don't think Harry knows what he wants because he grew up in a fishbowl. He doesn't know what real life really is." But Tyler Perry knew. He'd seen it firsthand. The isolation, the confusion, the growing realization that freedom wasn't what they thought it would be. And now, 5 years later, the cracks are starting to show. Not just small fractures, but deep, irreparable breaks that no amount of PR can fix. The Vanity Fair article that dropped in January 2025 wasn't just another hit piece. It was a nuclear bomb disguised as journalism. And buried within its devastating paragraphs was a revelation so shocking that it made everything else pale in comparison. According to sources in the publishing world, someone from Meghan's team had quietly approached publishers with a hypothetical question. If, and they stressed this was purely theoretical, if Meghan were to divorce Harry, would there be interest in a book about life after the split? Not a general self-help book about divorce, not a memoir about her first marriage, but specifically a book about divorcing Prince Harry. The source was careful to emphasize they weren't getting divorced. This was just market research, just Testing the waters, just in case. But here's the thing about testing the waters. You don't do it unless you're already thinking about jumping in. The timing of this revelation is crucial, because while Meghan's team was allegedly floating divorce book ideas, something else was happening. Harry was spending more and more time away from Montecito. He was planning what insiders called a professional divorce from his wife. Not a real divorce, they insisted, just a separation of their brands, just a little space to breathe, just 9 months of careful planning to rebuild his image away from hers. But professional divorces have a funny way of becoming real ones. Just ask anyone in Hollywood. The separate red carpets become separate bedrooms. The different coasts become different lives, and suddenly the theoretical becomes reality. Tyler Perry has watched all of this unfold. He's seen the separate appearances multiply. Harry in New York while Meghan's in Beverly Hills. Harry in London while Meghan's in Los Angeles. Always an excuse, always a reason, never together when it matters. And Perry, the man who knows how to read a room better than anyone in Hollywood, must see what everyone else is starting to notice. This isn't a power couple branching out. This is a marriage in crisis. The signs have been there for months. The body language experts noticed it first. The forced smiles that don't reach their eyes. The careful distance maintained even when they're supposedly together. The way Meghan now talks about her children and her life as if Harry is just a supporting character in her story. Then came the staff exodus. 4 key members of their team gone in a matter of weeks. PR professionals, communication experts, people who were supposed to help them navigate their new life. But you can't navigate when the ship is sinking. You can only abandon it. One source told the media, Meghan and Harry have hired some of the most incredible people at the top of their fields, yet somehow none of them ever work out. But maybe it's not a mystery at all. Maybe these professionals saw what Tyler Perry must see, that behind the California sunshine and the carefully curated social media posts, there's a couple drowning in their own contradictions. They wanted privacy but court publicity. They wanted freedom but can't escape their past. They wanted to write their own story but keep hiring new authors to try to fix it. The pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Remember when Meghan suddenly stopped mentioning Tyler Perry by name? This wasn't a subtle shift, this was a calculated erasure. The man who had been family suddenly became just a friend. The godfather to her daughter became a footnote. The savior became suspicious. In her podcast, when recounting their stay at his mansion, she awkwardly avoided his name, called it a friend's house as if she'd trained herself not to say those 2 words, Tyler Perry, as if speaking them might summon something she wasn't ready to face. But what could Tyler Perry possibly know that would make Meghan distance herself from one of Hollywood's most powerful men? The answer might lie in those early days at his mansion. Tyler wasn't just a landlord, he was a confidant. He was there for the phone calls with lawyers, the strategy sessions about their future, the moments when the masks came off and the real Harry and Meghan emerged. He might have seen Harry's growing realization that he'd traded his family for a fantasy. He might have witnessed Meghan's frustration when the world didn't embrace her the way she'd expected. One particularly revealing quote from the Vanity Fair piece comes from someone described as having worked on media projects with the couple. They said, I think Harry doesn't know what he wants because he grew up in a fishbowl. I think he probably wants to be left alone and be able to go kiss babies every once in a while, but not have to worry about money. I don't think he wants to be famous the way Meghan wants to be famous. That last line is crucial. Harry doesn't want to be famous the way Meghan wants to be famous. And Tyler Perry, who built an empire on understanding exactly what kind of fame people crave, would have recognized this fundamental incompatibility immediately. But here's where it gets really interesting. Another source, someone who worked closely with them, made an observation that should send chills down your spine. They said it felt like Meghan was reparenting Harry, not partnering with him, not supporting him, reparenting him, like a child who needs to be taught how to live in the real world.
Tyler Perry, a man who's navigated his own complex family dynamics, who's built his career on understanding dysfunction and healing, would have seen this dynamic play out in real time. He would have watched Harry, the spare heir who never quite fit in, trying to find his place in a world that was completely foreign to him. And he would have seen Meghan, the actress who'd fought for every role, trying to direct a real-life scene that refused to follow her script. The financial pressures add another layer to this crumbling facade. Despite their Netflix deals and Spotify contracts, sources suggest money is tighter than they'd like to admit. Meghan's podcast flopped and wasn't renewed. Her lifestyle brand has struggled to gain traction. Their Spotify deal fizzled into nothing. Even People magazine, once their reliable cheerleader, has pivoted back to covering Kate Middleton. When your unofficial PR outlet abandons you, you know there's trouble. And Tyler Perry, who understands the brutal mathematics of the entertainment industry, must see the writing on the wall. The Sussex brand isn't just struggling, it's failing. And in Hollywood, nothing accelerates a divorce quite like financial pressure. But perhaps the most telling sign came during Harry's recent appearance at the NATO Military Committee meeting. As he spoke via video link from his home office, eagle-eyed viewers noticed something revealing. Prominently displayed over his shoulder was a large framed photo from his wedding day. Meghan in her stunning Givenchy gown, the happy couple on what should have been the best day of their lives. Some saw it as a touching tribute to his marriage. Others saw it as something else entirely. A desperate reminder, a public declaration when private conversations have failed. The kind of gesture you make when you're trying to convince yourself as much as anyone else. Because happy marriages don't need constant public affirmation, they just are. Meanwhile, Meghan's recent ventures tell their own story. Her Confessions of a Female Founder podcast struggled to attract the A-list guests that made her previous show successful. Royal expert Hillary Fordwich didn't mince words. The show lacked Markle sparkle. It was shallow, self-focused, and missing the star power that audiences expected. Even more damaging was the Brooke Shields incident. During a panel at South by Southwest, Shields felt compelled to interrupt Meghan's earnest story about writing letters at age 11. Meghan was being too precious, Shields said. Too serious. The audience wasn't connecting. So Shields made a joke about playing a prostitute at age 11, and suddenly the room relaxed. The message was clear. Meghan's carefully crafted narrative wasn't landing the way she thought it would. This is the same woman who told Emma that she just wishes people would tell the truth. But whose truth? The version where she's a victim of circumstances, or the version Tyler Perry witnessed behind closed doors? Because there's a reason powerful people in Hollywood are starting to distance themselves. There's a reason the invitations are drying up. There's a reason even her most loyal supporters are going quiet. The professional divorce revelation adds another piece to this puzzle. According to insiders, Harry spent 9 months planning this separation of their brands. 9 months. That's not a spontaneous decision. That's a carefully orchestrated campaign. New publicists who report only to him. Separate schedules that keep them on different coasts. Individual projects that have nothing to do with her initiatives. They're calling it a strategic rebranding. A chance for Harry to establish his own identity. But anyone who's watched a Hollywood marriage implode knows better. This is what the beginning of the end looks like. This is what couples do when they're testing the waters for something more permanent. This is what happens when the theoretical divorce book becomes less theoretical every day. The locals in Montecito have their own perspective. One particularly brutal quote from the Vanity Fair piece called them the most entitled, disingenuous people on the planet. They moved to escape press scrutiny, this local observed, but all they do is court press attention. The hypocrisy isn't lost on their neighbors. Or on Tyler Perry, who must wonder what happened to the scared, vulnerable couple he sheltered in 2020. Because that's the thing about Tyler Perry. He's not just a filmmaker, he's a storyteller who built an empire on understanding human nature. He knows what real pain looks like versus performed pain. He knows authentic love versus camera-ready affection. And he knows when someone is running from something versus running towards something. What did he see in those early days that made him pull back? What conversations did he overhear that made him reassess? What moments of truth did he witness that made one of Hollywood's most loyal friends suddenly become cautiously distant? Because make no mistake, when Tyler Perry stops talking about you, it's not an oversight, it's a choice. The palace's silence adds another layer of intrigue. That bullying report about Meghan, sealed by the late Queen Elizabeth, still sits somewhere in Windsor Castle. Prince William holds the key, according to insiders, and he's waiting, watching, perhaps getting reports from unexpected sources about what's really happening in Montecito. Because here's what nobody wants to admit, the royal family might have been right all along. Not about everything, perhaps, but about the fundamental incompatibility between what Harry thought he wanted and what he actually signed up for. They saw an actress who couldn't stop performing. They saw a prince who didn't understand the real world. They saw a disaster waiting to happen. And now, 5 years later, the disaster is unfolding in slow motion. The separate appearances are becoming more frequent, the divorce rumors are becoming more specific, the professional split is looking more and more like a trial separation. And somewhere in Los Angeles, Tyler Perry watches it all with the knowledge of someone who's seen behind the curtain. He could tell stories that would make the Oprah interview look like a puff piece. He could reveal conversations that would explain
explain why Meghan suddenly stopped saying his name. He could share observations that would make sense of Harry's hollow eyes and forced smiles, but he won't. Not yet. Because Tyler Perry didn't build an empire by burning bridges. He built it by knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. But silence has its limits, and when someone feels used, discarded, or betrayed, even the most diplomatic Hollywood mogul might reconsider their discretion. Especially when they watch someone they helped try to rewrite history. Especially when they see the truth being twisted into something unrecognizable. Especially when they realize they were just another supporting character in someone else's performance. The question isn't whether Harry and Meghan's marriage will survive. The signs all point in one direction, and it's not toward happily ever after. The question is, who will tell the real story when it finally falls apart? Who will reveal what actually happened during those hidden months in 2020? Who will explain how a fairy tale became a cautionary tale? Tyler Perry holds those answers. He was there for the beginning of the end. He watched the promises get broken and the dreams turn into delusions. He saw two people who thought they were escaping into freedom discover they'd built themselves a different kind of prison. And most importantly, he knows secrets that no amount of PR can spin into something palatable. Because that's the thing about truth, it has a way of surfacing eventually. Whether it's in a leaked conversation about a theoretical divorce book, or in the body language of a couple who can barely stand to be in the same time zone, or in the silence of a powerful friend who's seen too much to pretend anymore. The clock is ticking on this marriage. Every separate appearance adds another crack. Every failed venture increases the pressure. Every desperate attempt to control the narrative pushes them further apart. And Tyler Perry, the man who gave them shelter when they needed it most, might just be the one who reveals how it all came crashing down. So the next time you see Meghan at a glamorous event smiling for the cameras while Harry is conveniently on another coast, remember this: someone knows the truth. Someone was there for the conversations she'd rather forget. Someone witnessed the moments that would destroy what's left of their carefully crafted image. And that someone is Tyler Perry, the godfather who became a ghost, the friend who became a footnote, the savior who might just become the storyteller who finally tells the truth about Harry and Meghan's not-so-perfect union. Because in Hollywood, secrets have a price, and sometimes the bill comes due when you least expect it. The fairy tale is over. The masks are slipping, and the man who knows their secrets is watching it all unfold with the patience of someone who understands that sometimes the best revenge isn't a tell-all interview. It's simply letting the truth reveal itself, one devastating headline at a time. What do you think? Is Tyler Perry sitting on explosive secrets about Harry and Meghan? Will he be the one to finally reveal what really happened behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking celebrity revelations. The truth always finds a way out, and we'll be here when it does.